everybody, welcome to another brand new episode of the Top 10 Show. I am John Roca.
I am Matt Nost and excited to be here another week doing the Top 10 Show. I hope everybody out there is staying safe. What do you got?
Yeah, it's a tough world right now, man. Everything's going crazy. We got an election coming up. You can feel it in the streets. The electricity, people are like on edge about so much, and hoping this November 3rd thing comes and goes without too much incident, and we can all just fucking move on and then like kind of go back a little bit to our daily lives. And then, there's rumors about a vaccine, so we're going to hear about that. But we're also hearing the numbers spiking up across the world, Matt. So it seems like we had felt like we were on top of it and we were the odd ones out. Now it feels like we're just in the bowl with everybody else where the numbers are high and we're trying to kind of figure this all out and navigate it and what have you. So that's crazy right now. That's for sure.
Exactly, which is no different from last week. Which is no different. That's the difficult thing because we normally give it up top for like 10, 15 minutes or something. Yeah. But outside of sports, that's our default to go and just talk. There's no movies that come. Usually with all this crap, there'd still be everyday life. So you and I'd be going to, I went to this barbecue, or I went to this movie, or we have something to talk about so we don't have to focus on sitting at home staring at screens going, I think the Mayans got the calendar wrong.
Well, speaking of sports, I got two things. One, I've been watching, I don't know if you have ESPN Plus, but Lindley and I have been watching that Life and Trials of Oscar Pistorius. Have you heard of this documentary that's out right now?
I've heard of it, but I haven't seen it.
It's a 4-part documentary. Each part, dude, is an hour and 45 minutes. I was shocked at how much time. It's almost that OJ Made in America type length, or the Chicago Bulls one. It just was shocking to me how much time they spent for this documentary, and it's engrossing as hell. The first episode's kind of like jumping back and forth, and it's a little clunky. And then the second, third, and fourth episodes have been a lot smoother when they've jumped back and forth. And it's fascinating story, man. I mean, it's fascinating to hear, how many people still think he's innocent. How many people think he's guilty. Certainly the documentary takes a position that he might have been telling the truth, and it's kind of up to you to decide based on both sides presenting their points of views of their evidence in retrospect, because this was like 2013, 2014. It is fascinating, absolutely fascinating. I was dying for a new documentary to really dive into, a sports documentary, and that one just kind of popped up. And I was hesitating because I'm like, do I really care about this? And blah, blah, blah. Because I remember the whole thing happening, but it's actually pretty cool.
So they don't come to any conclusion as to whether or not he fired how many rounds through a bathroom door. Five rounds?
Yeah.
5 through a bathroom door to his girlfriend.
Yeah. So here's what he claims. He claims that he's a guy who has to sleep in black as night conditions. And he's only been he's been dating her for about a year. They're living together. And so on the night that this happened, where they were staying, they like to keep the windows open, like the balcony windows open, and put 2 loud fans on top of each other so that they can get some fresh air in the room. Okay. What he claims is that at 3 a.m. he got up to take down the fans and close the door because he grew up with a paranoid mom who constantly thought people were going to break into the house. She slept with a gun under her bed. So he always did this, apparently. And he was moving it and moving. And apparently he did not hear, because of the loud sound of the fans and the darkness of the room, his girlfriend get up and go pee in the bathroom. And so when he's turned off the fans and puts some jeans over the green letters of the audio system that's there in their room, he hears her open the window. Now, here's the opening of the window. He doesn't know it's her. Apparently, according to him, he doesn't know that it's her. And the loud sound of the window freaks him out. He thinks someone's breaking in. This is what he claims. Goes to get his gun from his nightstand. Tells his girlfriend to call the police, but never looks behind him, apparently, to make sure that she's understanding what's happening. And then starts walking towards the bathroom. And he does not have his legs on, so he's on his stumps. And he starts screaming into the bathroom, apparently, to tell the person to get out of the house, whatever. And then he claims is that she freaked out by his yelling, and so she backed up further into the bathroom, thinking that they were being broken into in another area of the house by his yelling, and moved the table. And when that was in the bathroom, because it was in the door, she had closed the door rather on the bathroom. There's
a table in the bathroom?
Yeah, there's a table for the magazines apparently that they read while they were pooping or whatever. And when she moved the table, he freaked out, thought it was an intruder, and or thought it was was completely believing that it was an intruder, and then shot 5 shots through the door. And then backed up 18 seconds all the way to the bedroom, sits down in the bed, then realizes that she's not in the bed, and then thinks that it might be her, goes to the door, tries to knock down the door. He can't, grabs a cricket bat back in the bedroom, then slams onto the door, knocking out the panels, grabbing the key, opening the door, and bringing her out. And he's screaming the whole time. And apparently he opens the doors that were closed on the balcony, starts yelling out for help. But there are witnesses who claim they heard they were fighting. There were women screaming, a woman screaming, and then a man screaming, and the sound of shots. So I just don't buy his story. I just don't buy that you wake up, hear an intruder, and you don't check in physically or facially check in with your girlfriend to make sure. You know what I'm saying?
I think the only way that you could sell me on this is if they had a picture of his mom from 1950 something.
Yeah.
And she's in bed and just grimacing in her sleep, but you can tell her hand is on a Glock under the pillow. Just okay, he grew up a traumatized household. We have. She's just trying to sleep, but fearful at all times. Just finger on the trigger, ready to go. That's okay. So to bolster his case, then they had to find wood fragments or something like that on the bullets themselves.
Yes.
Inside of her to know that he shot through the door first before he broke it down.
Right. And what's interesting is that her parents cremated her right after the funeral, which was only a few days afterwards. So they had done the autopsy, and then they cremated her, which is very interesting.
Why? I mean, how long are you supposed to wait?
Well, in my mind, you keep I'm not blaming the parents, right? I'm just saying in my mind, you keep a body alive, or keep it around for a while, even bury it, just in case there's any kind of situation here. Because initially he claimed it was a burglar, right? And then they think that, and then the prosecution thought, no. They were having an argument. He was mad that she was leaving him, and shot through the door in anger.
Mm-hmm.
And they bring up a person who got access to their texts. And one of the last exchanges between them from 2 weeks earlier on text is her saying that she wants to leave him because she can't seem to satisfy him, and nothing she does is right. Even her gum chewing irritates him, and blah, blah. And you're just this is a pattern. It's clear. The defense is well, that's only 4. There's only 4 arguments in the 1,000 texts that you looked at. And it's well, yeah, but those kind of arguments kind of betray what's actually happening in this relationship. So it's a fascinating doc, dude. Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to genuinely come to judgment.
Yeah.
Over.
But that's why I think it's fascinating. Yeah.
Still not going to watch it. Don't care.
Okay, fair enough.
I'm glad you dig it. That's cool.
Yeah. If anybody's listening and wants to sink into it, it's a good thing to distract yourself. Some new content.
What was the other sports thing? You said you had
But how about the Lakers, buddy? We haven't talked about this. Them winning the title 17 times now. Is LeBron greater than Michael Jordan? Is it a waste of a conversation?
I think it's kind of a waste.
Okay.
But the discussion is getting interesting for me personally.
Sure.
But I still think he needs to do a couple more. If you can get a 3-peat with the Lakers, would be massive.
Mm-hmm.
But this late in his career and et cetera, it'd be unassailable because he's got so many other, incredible feats.
Yeah.
The counting numbers for his playoff stats alone are just bananas.
Yeah, man. It's mind-blowing to think about.
It is. And the fact that he's never had a serious injury, that little groin thing last year was the first big one he's ever had, except for that mysterious backish whatever when he just wanted to go down to Miami for 2 weeks in the middle of the Cavs season and came back rejuvenated.
Yeah.
He doesn't get hurt for a guy his size who's still in the finals. You watched him. He's going into the lane
Yeah,
a tremendous amount for a 35-year-old. It's really impressive.
Yeah, it is.
But congrats. My favorite part of it now is all the crazy Laker fans are like, all right, so we're going to trade for Brad Beal. We'll give the Wizards Kuzma, Danny Green, JaVale McGee, and a first-round pick. Who says no? I think the Washington Wizards hang up as soon as you say and a first-round pick.
The second you lead with Kuzma, they hang up.
Yeah, that's really the only trade chip they have, unless they want to try and do a sign and trade after KCP resigns, or they don't have shit. They ain't got shit. I love all that with the Lakers. Hey, what you think we should go get Chris Paul? How are you gonna get Chris Paul? How? Have you put any thought into this? Or are you just pulling names out of the fucking air? You're like, okay, how are you going to get Chris Paul? How are you going to get to 43 million? Are you trading Anthony Davis? That's fucking, you trade LeBron? How are you doing this? It's fucking great though. It's been all that.
Oh, I wish Sam Presti would record that conversation if that ever happened and put that out. Put out the conversation. I just cackling the whole time into the phone.
You think Daryl Morey would be our equipment manager? What?
Daryl Morey.
I mean, he stepped down. He's looking for a job, rehabilitate his image. I don't know why I'm making the LA guy sound like this. Hey, I'm from the West Coast.
Oh.
Hey.
Daryl, you talking about China? Oh, Daryl. Oh.
It's been great. So delusional. They already have the most delusional fans anyway.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, we haven't won a championship in 10 years. Oh, fucking cry me a river. Cry me a fucking river. You don't know what it was like to have Robert Sacre on your team. Yeah, I do. Just a different version, but yeah, I do.
Oh, Robert Sacre.
I had to suffer through 3 years. 3 years. Shut the fuck up. I've heard so many Laker fans do that one. Fuck off.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There was nothing left of Jimmy after that performance after Game 5. Like he had nothing left. You knew it was going to be you knew it was going to be just a complete.
Same thing happened after Game 3. Yep, Game 4, he came out and it was just more passive because he was spent.
Yep. He can't do it by himself. And having Dragic hurt, having Adebayo in and out, it just didn't. You couldn't find any consistency.
Yeah, and if I think in 2 years, Hero would be the precise wingman that he would need. Mm-hmm. He's 20 years old.
Right.
So it's still wildly impressive.
Yeah, true.
For a 20-year-old, like, okay, this dude's confidence is through the roof. He's going to be, hopefully he doesn't do that year of regression like Tatum did after he almost got to the finals.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, the next year we were all expecting the moon and he was good.
Right.
But we were expecting, inching towards great.
Yeah.
And he got there. He's there now. He's inching towards like, this guy could be a top tier every year now.
I don't hear any of these Lakers fans who are like last year when they were looking at the finals going like, oh, well, Toronto, they won because Golden State was injured and blah, blah, blah. Where are these Lakers fans talking about how Miami Heat had a bunch of injured stars or injured starters as well?
Every year, practically.
It's like, exactly. It's part of the game. It's always something,
You can't take away from what they actually did because they just played the team that was in front of them.
Yep, exactly. And that's how you win a title.
Yeah. Do I think if the Warriors were at full health across the board to start that series that they would have won? Yes. Yes, I do.
Fair enough.
But they weren't. I mean, it's a lot of wear and tear. That's why it's even more impressive with LeBron. I mean, just continues to do this and doesn't have. True. It's amazing. It is utterly amazing.
Do you think Ty Lue is the right decision? I don't think Ty Lue is the right decision. Do you think Ty Lue is the right decision?
I have no idea. I have no idea. I don't know what kind of coach he is. So everybody swears by him. So there's got to be, where there's smoke, there's fire.
I said if he's not bringing LeBron with him, it doesn't really matter because LeBron was the general on the court.
That's what we'll find out.
Yeah. Someone did make a good point, though, how he has won titles for coaches that are not going in the Hall of Fame. And I thought that was actually a really excellent point, how Ty Lue and Frank Vogel, I mean, those guys aren't going to go in the Hall of Fame. But, like, Spoelstra certainly. Maybe you're right. Spoelstra's totally going. But, like, Jordan never did it for a lesser coach than Phil Jackson. And you could argue that both Lou and Vogel are lesser coaches than Spoelstra. And
But
so
I
it's
mean,
just
how many
interesting.
Phil Jacksons are there?
Right, exactly. I mean, Popovich
It's
is basically the
Popovich.
next. Yeah.
And then Red Auerbach.
Yeah. And I think Brad Stevens, if he can figure it out and go on this little run, Brad could be one of these guys too. Yeah. If right. True. Good point. If right.
But Frank and Ty have a leg up because they've already done it once. They at least have gotten there. Frank's going to get to continue to coach LeBron and AD. I don't know if that's going to change. I sincerely doubt the Lakers would deviate from that plan. So
true.
I mean, Anthony Davis did opt out, but he's already said, I am re-signing. And that was the most useless press release in the history of press releases.
Yeah. Where would he go, though? Is there trouble? Is that why he's opting out? Is there trouble? Come on. He said he was going to resign.
That was sentence A, and sentence B was, and I'm re-signing. So if you didn't finish the tweet to sentence B, that's your own fucking, fault.
Exactly. He did have higher or better stats than LeBron, which was really surprising overall through the season and into the finals. That's the first time LeBron wasn't necessarily the alpha dog statistically.
Well, yeah, but that was by design.
Yeah, right. He had to default to Anthony to get him to.
It's
right.
And rightly, he knows that he needs to slowly transition the team's leadership to Anthony. So, he's technically, I've heard, various stories like after one of the bubble games, and he got Anthony's like, nah, it was like the first round or something. We shake the entire staff's hand and tell him thanks. Like, you appreciate the effort of all. I'm teaching you how to be a leader. And there were a few other stories like that.
Wow.
Which
that's cool.
Very well could. Yeah, it's very, I mean, all the stories came out that AD went to LeBron's camp and has been idolizing him for all these years. And LeBron doesn't talk down to him and treats him like, what he is, which is basically Magic to Kareem.
Yep.
You can carry me to more championships and we can make more playoff runs if you're here.
Yeah.
I'm not stupid.
Yeah.
And you seem to be a nice guy. So
prolong my career.
Went all around.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, Ty Lue, no clue. Vogel, Brad Stevens. I don't know. There's a lot of question marks.
There are. We'll see what happens as the new season starts. And Golden State will be back to full health. So we'll see if Steve Kerr.
I mean, right now it's January 15th.
Yeah.
So let's see when this actually starts.
True. But anyway, we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about movies and count down a top 10 list, Matt Nost. And this week we decided to count down the top 10 movies that occur in the fall or that happen in the fall.
Yeah, I think we just said movies in the fall.
In the fall, right? Movies in the fall. Do we know how we got to this, or we were just like looking at the fact that the leaves are turning? We thought this would be a good idea.
Yeah, we pulled that out of the ether. It was just like, hey, it's fall. There's no movies coming out for the 17th week in a row. Actually, longer than that.
Yeah, true.
So I don't know. How about fall? The most arbitrary of choices, because there, a couple movies.
Yeah,
I did a Google search, like I do a lot of times, where I feel like I'm clearly going to miss something.
Yeah,
and suggestions, and be like, I guess that's a fall movie, but it happens. Like there are different seasons in this. Is it just because you're saying it makes you feel like it's a fall movie?
Yeah.
Because it came out in the fall, so it reminds you of the fall. Does that count?
Yeah, I had to have that conversation myself. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so I tried to land more on movies that are just in the fall.
Yeah.
Since that's what we said, it's just like, I'm going to try and do my best to stick to that. Because there are a couple which is like, that's a great movie, but I know that New Year's is a part of it.
Oh, he's already going to start there.
Yeah.
All right.
Not once, but twice.
True. But that's still never mind. No, it's not the fall.
It is not.
That is the winter.
You are past the fucking winter solstice at that point. You can't claim fall in the, but the preponderance of lists had it.
Yeah. Right.
So I guess, I don't deny it. It does feel like a fall movie, but
it does.
It does.
I don't want to defend it now. It might come up.
All right. Let me see if I can guess what else is on your list that I don't have. Okay.
No. Anyway, let's jump into this thing, Matt. Tell them how the show works, my man.
Not a problem. Once we set a topic, we go our individual ways and create personal top 10 lists. Show back up here. I do my bottom three. He does his bottom three. I do my next two. He does his next two. Then we trade one apiece. Once we have revealed our personal top 10 list, we create the shows between the two of us.
Sold. All right, man. What's your number 10?
10, I believe, yeah, just a small chunk of time. Garden State happens in the fall.
Oh yeah, great choice. Good film. Nice. I like that one. Not on my list, but good stuff.
Nice, Braff plays a kid who is an actor out here in Los Angeles, but he's really a waiter. And his mom passes, and he goes home to kind of to deal with burying her, but also to try and reconcile with his dad and figure out who he is and what he wants. And he meets up with Natalie Portman, and they have a really genuine connection in that movie.
Yeah. It's really surprising to see how much chemistry they have in that movie. It's what sells the movie to me, overall. And of course, his story and what he's going through and all of that, trying to kind of reacquaint himself with his dad and negotiate all of that. It's really their chemistry that keeps you coming back to watch the film because they're so good. I mean, that scene in the dumpster or in the dump when they're screaming down in the rain to kind of let that all out, it's interesting to see them connecting in that way. And then later on when they're in the emergency room or whatever, it's just like they just have they just fit, dude. It works.
Yeah.
You're right.
And I read a quote from him the other day about it just randomly. I don't know how I stumbled upon it, but someone asked why there was no sex scene in the movie. And he was like, the implication was much more effective to like basically the emotional resonance that you have with the characters overall.
Right.
And I was like, yeah, that's true. It's a smarter decision because that's not what this story's about. It is and it isn't.
Right.
It's more about the connection to another human being and the rudderlessness that we all feel at different times.
Yeah, true.
And I believe it happens in the fall.
It does happen in the fall. Certainly. I remember that. Peter Sarsgaard in this thing. Right? Or Skarsgård.
Yeah.
Is it Skarsgård or I don't know, Peter Sarsgaard? I think it's Sarsgaard. Yeah. And then Ian Holm is his dad.
Ian Holm is his dad that you know from Lord of the Rings.
Right.
Old Bilbo.
So a good film and great soundtrack. If you've never listened to the soundtrack, it's got the Shins on it, Colin Hayes in it. There's a number of other really good bands on the soundtrack of this film. So if you haven't got the Garden State soundtrack, you need to. All right, what's your number 9, man?
My number 9 is Coco.
Oh my God.
Because it's Dia de los Muertos, right?
All right, I'm gonna put it on my list. Yeah, all right, I'm gonna put it on my list. It's my number 8, so go ahead, man.
It ends up 9 and 8 for you, but for me, like I like the movie. It's more fun, but then it gets to the end, and I'll be damned if I didn't almost break down crying.
Yeah.
And even now, like it still tugs at the heartstrings. That small scene in it is just magic. It is pure magic.
Yeah,
it's beautiful to watch. It's got a couple great songs. I just the rest of it, like the in essence Elvis storyline stole from his father type of thing.
Right.
It's good. You could probably cut a little bit of it, in my opinion, but I don't know what, too many notes over here.
No, I don't disagree with you. I remember watching the movie and feeling like, okay, we're spending a lot of time in the land of the dead to try to make it seem like we really care about the Latino culture. We're really adhering. Like the Frida Kahlo stuff was cool, but it also felt a little bit like Latino service, not lip service, Latino service to make you feel like they're living in the world and fully living. When they veered away from that kind of stuff and more about the story and the backstabbing and the twists and turns, that's where I think the movie really was humming along and zipping along. The Frida stuff was just a weird thing that you could have taken out and made a separate like short film connected to Coco, and it wouldn't have necessarily needed to be a part of the film. But overall, though, I agree with you. I think it's a damn good movie, and it's not one that I necessarily run back and put on a million times. It's not one of those Pixars that I would, but I have more of a reverence and awe for the film than I necessarily have a gotta watch it over again. That kind of, like, it's not Toy Story for me or Up or a couple other Pixar films, but it is one that deserves respect. Yeah,
and it's gorgeous. It took time to make the world lush and vibrant.
You're so right. Yeah.
So you can appreciate it for that. Yeah, I go back for Remember Me and Proud Corazon. Those two scenes are my two. But Remember Me, I could watch. It's like the beginning of Up. I may not care for the rest of it, but how is that not just movie magic right there.
Yeah, yeah.
But Prodcore, I mean, not Prodcore's wrong, but Coco works more overall for me than Up does.
Fair.
Even though they have a stupid dog and they've got a. Although the dog doesn't talk, I don't recall
the dog doesn't talk. No. You're right about that.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's my 9.
Okay, what's your 8?
My number 8 is October Sky.
Son of a bitch. That's my number 10. I didn't know that was going to be on your list. That's awesome. Yeah. I don't think we've ever talked about this movie. Maybe once.
I know I've put it on at least one list.
Okay. Maybe a coming of age or something like that, maybe?
Something like that, yeah. I just know that it has come up. I lived in West Virginia for 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
So a story about kids from West Virginia that rise up from a coal mining town where everybody lives. I believe it's a coal mining town, but you're just going to do what his father did. He's a foreman. And they end up, it's a true story. They end up going off and becoming jet propulsion scientists for NASA.
Right.
And work on the space program and all that. And it just started from a love of wanting to make their rocket go higher and higher and higher.
Yeah.
A kid's endeavor, and created a path for the rest of their life. Chris Cooper's in it, young Jake Gyllenhaal, Laura Dern is this teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the redhead kid that pulls his pubes out. And what is that, American Pie?
Oh, yeah, that guy.
He's in it.
Oh, wow.
I wish I could pull his name because that's a terrible thing to remember him for, as if he didn't do other acting work. And he was good in October Sky. That's what he sticks out for, though. Who else was in that? Who were the other kids? I can't remember.
Chris Owen is in this thing. He's the guy that you're talking about, the redhead who pulls the pubes out. Okay. He's also in Major Payne. Remember him in Major Payne? He's funny as shit in Major Payne.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
God, I haven't seen that movie in forever.
William Lee Scott is the other one. Chad Lindbergh is the other kid.
Not a whole lot.
No, Chad Lindbergh is like in the first Fast and Furious. He's the skinny guy that's working at that eatery place they all like kind of hang out at.
No idea.
Okay. But not really anybody else of real note that you might know. So that's what's so fascinating about the movie. And it's directed by Joe Johnston, who did like the first Captain America and Rocketeer. I'm with you, dude. That's my number 10 whenever I think about that movie, and like we talked about, it's movies in the fall, I almost automatically think of the fall. They're always wearing the coats. It's always cold. The teacher situation with him and Laura Dern, Jake Gyllenhaal, and her, like encouraging him to go forward. And this is the time in Jake Period's career where he's not doing the whole he's not going super intense crazy. This is him still doe-eyed Jake Gyllenhaal, wide-eyed about the world, trying to figure out where his characters belong in the worlds that they're in the movie. So he's fascinating to watch throughout here as an underdog kid, fighting against, the standard stuff where the dad, who's a working class dad, doesn't necessarily want to support his kid pursuing these dreams, because to him, those are dreams, and it's also a true story set in the 50s. It's a generational thing, right? When kids were actually, there was more to the world than just working a fucking mindless job to put food on the table. Their kids were dreaming of bigger things. And of course, he does accomplish a lot of things as he goes forward in his life. So, but there is that battle between what my dad wants me to do and taking the chance to pursue my education. And most fathers want want their sons to try and daughters to try to achieve the best they can in this world. But sometimes there are fathers who are just like want to keep you close because they're afraid that you're going to fail and be nothing, and you're not really a man, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, he's dealing with all the rigors and stress of work, and kind of just wants. I don't think he understands, so it's frustration born out of that. Yeah. And then it's misdirected, and but it's like the overall arc when the realization eventually you got to let him do what he's going to do.
Yeah.
He's just going to buck even harder. Right.
He's just as stubborn or determined as you are, because he's your son. So you got to understand that. Yeah. I love that film, man. It's so good. Surprises on your list. That's cool. My number 9 is since we jumped off, that was your 8, so that was my 10. So my number 9 is Big Daddy.
Okay, sure.
Yeah. I always think of the fall with this. It always feels like the fall. Again, it's like, the coal, as you see the jackets and blah, blah, blah. But I also want to, because it's one of my favorite Adam Sandler films. I know I bash a lot of Adam Sandler films, but there are a few that I thoroughly, thoroughly enjoy because the heart's in the right place. And I think Big Daddy is one of those ones for me. The relationship he has with the kid, you talk about chemistry, such great chemistry between them. Rob Schneider is funny with the character he plays throughout the whole movie. But the storyline, right? And even the jokes that are at Leslie Mann's expense, they still work overall. They're not necessarily overall mean, but they're still funny. But his intention here is to connect with his son, connect with this kid, and we'll figure out where he goes with his son, like how to be a dad. And I think his dad is Harold Ramis, I think. And so they have their conversations about like what it was like to raise him, to give him advice. So there's a lot throughout the movie that I find to be very charming and funny and a great slice. And I constantly feel like when I'm watching it, that's the fall, so.
Sure. I haven't seen it so long. I did like it when it came out. Scuba Steve is stuck with me.
Scuba Steve. Yeah.
He can call himself whatever he wants and he can wear whatever he wants. And, once you see that, you're like, yeah, that makes sense. Like, let the kid express himself. He doesn't know who he is anymore. It's like when Brian Urlacher a few years ago, his ex-wife was, I think they were in a custody battle.
Oh, wow.
She went on Twitter and was like, he let our son wear a pink jersey. Like, can you believe that? And he's like, he's 4. Who cares?
Yeah, that's ridiculous. That is ridiculous.
As soon as I saw it, I was like, yeah, who cares? I'm wearing a pink shirt right now. I love it. Look at it. His rollerblade.
I respect it, man.
A buddy of mine had it. He was
you wear it well.
I was like, I'll take that off. I'll take that for your hands. Catherine hates it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I just love it for the what a fucking very 90s t-shirt, a bright pink rollerblade across the front. And it's their official corporate logo. It's like, what a lazy company. But everything about it is like, it's perfect. Yeah. But yeah, it's like, who cares? Who cares? It's a pink shirt. He's 4. But seeing it in Big Daddy, it's like, yeah, Scooby Steve, like if he wants to call himself Frankenstein, he can call himself Frank. I don't care.
Right.
It's fine. He has no idea. He's a kid.
Yeah. It's an interesting cast too. I was wrong. It's Joseph Bologna who plays his dad. His dad. Yeah. I think Harold Ramis.
Wow, Harold Ramis, isn't that?
He's Seth Rogen's dad in Knocked Up. That's the confusion I have. Yeah. Joey Lauren Adams is in this. Jon Stewart is in this. Josh Mostel, Rob Schneider, as I mentioned, Christy Swanson. I forget Christy Swanson is in this. That's right. And Leslie Mann, of course, and Steve Buscemi. Right. All the standard Sandler people, the Sandler cast. I saw that preview for his new one, Hubie Halloween. Oof, man, good.
I thought it could be a good Halloween movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Lighthearted family fare type of thing. But the reviews have just, mid 50s ish type.
Yeah.
Like, that sucks. I was hoping for upper 60s and like a wink and a smile. You know what I mean? Not great.
Right.
But just like, it's enjoy. I totally get why this was made. Now it may not be the case. Now I don't see myself, convincing myself to use myself again with a limited movie time that I set aside, potentially per week.
Yeah.
Halloween at this point.
Right. Fair point.
Yeah. That's a solo. I don't think I could talk Catherine into it. So I only have a few of those movie spots. Hughes, you ain't making
it. Sorry, bud. All right. What's your number 7, man?
7 is Fantastic Mr. Fox.
Oh, good choice. I just went back and forth on that one. I couldn't in the end pull the trigger, but that's a great choice, man. Go ahead, bro.
Why is that?
I think in the end, I just was like, it's an animated film, so I don't necessarily put a season to it in my mind, although I know it occurs in the fall. And it is a part of the movie because the leaves turn and they talk about it. But for whatever reason in my head, because it's animated, I didn't put it in my brain as something that I would put on my list. It's nothing against the film itself. I love the film.
Well, I think it's that coupled with the fact that the color palette for the film is autumnal as well.
Yeah, very much so.
So it just there. I mean, Wes Anderson really leaned into a color aesthetic that is kind of his anyway.
Yeah.
Or one that seems to suit him. But B, it just like takes place in, it has the overt vibe from the first second to the last second. That is kind of what they're trying to impart. So I was like, yeah, for that. It just hits on a lot of different metrics.
Right.
Plus, I like the movie a lot. So why not put it in? 7 seems like as good a place as any for Fantastic Mr. Fox. I wonder, do you think he's got another one in the works? Because now he's got that plus Isle of Dogs.
Oh, another one of these stop motion ones? I would imagine so. I mean, although Isle of Dogs didn't do as well as Fantastic Mr. Fox, which is a shame because I liked it.
Thought it was all right.
Yeah, but yeah, exactly. I think a majority of people felt that it was all right. So I imagine either one or two things. Either he's done with stop motion, or maybe he wants to do one more to kind of come back into having people remember that as his last stop motion directed film, if it's a good one, you know. And so I could see it happening. I could absolutely see it happening. So
you're forecasting his death. You're saying that basically whenever he comes to that next one is his last one. At least as far as
I'm just saying. I think artists or creatives, like, they go through a stretch or a run, and then they're done with it, and they never go back to it. You know, and I think, like with Burton, I don't think we'll ever see Burton do Corpse Bride, Frankenweenie, and he did produce Nightmare Before Christmas. He didn't direct it, but that kind of thing, I don't see him ever going back to do those kinds of things anymore. I think that was a part of his creative time at that time, and now he's moved on to something else. And I think the same thing here with Wes Anderson. He'll do one more, and then he's done with it.
Well, I hope that's true, because I don't want to see another Zemeckis motion capture, doll eyes, nightmare fodder movie.
Yeah,
what, 3 under his belt now?
Yeah,
I think you're done with those. You got Polar Express, Beowulf, and Christmas Carol. He did that with Jim Carrey, did he not?
Christmas Carol, yeah. He also did. Go ahead, sir.
He also did what?
The Welcome to Marwen. That unsettling.
I didn't see that.
Ooh, yeah, dude,
that looked terrible. For the first time I saw the trailer, and then that was during that season, the most seen trailer by me at AMC. Hands down, it wasn't even close. It was on the front of everything. Yeah. So I just assumed like somehow this is going to be like a Forrest Gump type of situation where it's so universally resonant. That's why it's getting pushed. And then I read the reviews. I hated the trailer. I was like, I could be wrong. And the reviews were like, yeah, this is everything I thought it would be. Why?
Yeah.
Why did I see this trailer legitimately 15 times?
I was sitting in that screening and I was just like, I want to be anywhere else but here. It is so fucking bad, you know. I think I had a pretty great run when I was at Collider for the amount of bad movies versus good movies. I saw exponentially way more good movies at screenings than I did bad ones, you know. So, like the Muppet one with Melissa McCarthy, that was a little bit of a rough watch. First 20 minutes funny, and then it got kind of rough. What was the terrible one? Oh, The Snowman. Woof. The Michael Fassbender one. Oh, I
never saw that. I did see the puppet one. I genuinely think there's a good movie in there.
There is one in there, right, Matt? Like the first 30 to 35 minutes.
Genuinely a good movie in there.
It's good, yeah. And then they kind of
watched it till the end. I didn't hate it.
Yeah.
Because you're like, there's so much potential here, and they're never going to touch this ever again.
Right.
Which sucks because it's such a stupid, great idea.
It's true. Very true.
Maybe.
All right.
I mean, you know.
What's your number 6?
My number 6 is Friday Night Lights.
Oh, yeah. No, didn't make my list. Okay.
You want to know what Texas football is like on the high school level? This seems very accurate. Yeah. It's like disturbingly accurate. Just not caring about the health and welfare of these kids because we got to get that W type of thing.
Yep.
And the alcoholic father, that is brutal. Like Tim McGraw, I wish you would do more of that because that was powerful acting. Yeah. Like, what did he duct tape his son's hands to the ball because he fumbles it and it's just going off in this drunken rage? Because somehow this high school football game is going to affect the rest of his life, just like it did Tim McGraw, because he never grew up beyond those moments in time.
Yep.
And then on the flip side, the Billy Bob Thornton win at all costs. I had a football coach like that. Guy was an asshole.
Wow. Really? Okay.
I I mean, not as cartoonish like that, but
Right.
just a pure ass. It was only about winning. He had made a winning school out of the high school. Like,
Oh yeah.
8 of the past 9 years, they've almost made the state championship for it was like the smallest division because it was a small school.
Right.
But still, it's like they're a powerhouse in this, and he had built it up, and it's this tiny little farm community. My school was surrounded by corn and soy on 3 sides.
Wow.
Yeah. And you do crop rotation. So one year it's corn on this side, the other year, it's soy. Just like, but that's 3 sides of it. So the high school football meant some shit.
Yeah.
This small village. Now multiply that when you have a stadium for what do you think that thing set? 10,000?
Yeah.
And like 6,000 to 8,000 for the home side and 2,000 for the visitor side.
Right.
And they sell out the home side every week. It's like, it's crazy. This is a small Division 4 in essence.
Yeah. Good point.
And the movie just captures a lot of that. It's like when Peter Berg really rounded a corner and started churning out some really interesting movies that I liked.
Yeah, I liked the movie. I thought it was a good movie. I don't know why I didn't feel the magic for it that I normally do for sports films that are good. Maybe it's because it's got more of a darker approach to it, more of a sadder approach to it.
It's much darker.
Yeah. I mean, Billy Bob was great in this movie. Lucas Black is great in this movie. You're right about Tim McGraw. Absolutely. It's great to know he has that gear, because that's one of the things that I hate about Blindside is like they pushed him completely to the side and it was like an ancillary character. And he could have done so much more with that role,
That movie's not good.
Mm-hmm. It really is.
Paint by numbers.
Fucking terrible. Yeah.
And the fact that she won for that is, it's Pacino's Son of a Woman.
Yeah, exactly. And Paul Newman, Color of Money. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we all agree that you're great. It's, here.
Yeah. Gravity is what she should have won for. She was great in Gravity.
Gravity's awesome.
Yeah.
And she carries it entirely a la, Tom Hanks Castaway style. It is just us and her.
Yep.
That's not easy to do.
Right. She's a great actress. So is that your 6?
Yeah, that was my 6. What do you got?
Okay. All right. My number 7 is Days of Heaven, the Terrence Malick film.
Oh, okay. Not a Malick fan, so go crazy.
Yeah. Absolutely love this movie. It's a very young Richard Gere, a very young Brooke Adams, and I think it's a very young Sam Shepard. And it's like it's just like you talk about with Fantastic Mr. Fox. The entire vibe of this film was very autumnal. The colors, the wheat, all of that. Brooke Adams and Sam Shepard play this young couple who come to work for this rich guy on his property in the set during the Depression, I think, around the Depression. Sorry. And then Richard Gere is the rich guy, and he starts to take a liking to Brooke Adams. And so it becomes a thing where there's this like triangle, where they're going to go, what's going to happen, and blah, blah, blah. And the Days of Heaven is more of an ironic title more than an actual meaning title, And so it's these days, supposedly these days of heaven, but they're really hell because of the battles between, and of course, stuff happens to the farm. Yeah. What were you saying?
Well, the high school are the best years of your lives.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that would beg to differ.
Yeah, right.
I enjoyed my high school experience, but I went to a smaller school. So
yeah,
when I hear other kids are like, I had a graduating class of 2000, like I can't wrap my head around that in high school.
Right.
Because my class was so small. I knew everybody.
Yeah.
So much easier to have a bad high school experience when you're that large because you're just a faceless number in the crowd.
Right. It's an interesting story because Sam Shepard is like, and because it shows like that they're like these characters who are very poor. Mm-hmm. So Sam Shepard tries to convince his girlfriend, who is Brooke Adams, to like accept the overtures from Richard Gere so they can trick him into marrying her so they can take his money, like essentially take his money and what have her. And then, but she ends up actually starting to have feelings for him. And so it becomes very, I don't know, it's much more convoluted than they were planning. And it leads to all kinds of shit that happens. It's one of Malick's greatest films. It is not like what you see now. It's not a stream of consciousness film at all. It's a very clear, beginning, middle, and end to the movie. Very linear beginning, middle, end to the movie. It's just what he does with the cinematography and the shots. You constantly feel like you're in the fall of the movie throughout. So yeah,
well, maybe that's a Malick that I would enjoy.
I think Badlands. It's when he starts flying in the late in the 90s into the 2000s, when he starts doing the stream of consciousness stuff, that I think is where he loses you, man. Yeah.
And usually I, just like you, love that shit.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't care. Hey, just a snapshot of their life. But if I can't pull out the philosophical meaning that you're trying to impart on top of it, is where you lose me. And then now I just associate that with Malick of, I don't know, it's going to be this long drawn out question.
Mm-hmm.
And you're left to decide on your own. And I don't feel like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess maybe just because I've been disappointed a handful of times from him now that I just don't want to be disappointed again.
Yeah. I mean, I think like Thin Red Line and The New World were him like kind of moving out of what he had done before, but still having a little bit of the linear stuff to it. But he was adding more of the stream of consciousness stuff through it. And then when he goes Tree of Life, and then into the Wonder and Knights of Cup and all, that's when he fully like goes, woo, I'm out there, you know? And so, but these first two films, Badlands and Days of Heaven, those are linear films told as normal films would be told. And the cinematography is incredible. And Badlands is what that song by Bruce Springsteen's about, Nebraska, where he's talking about sit with that girl and they go on a killing spree and whatever. That's what that is. The young Martin Sheen, young Sissy Spacek go on a killing spree through Nebraska, and it's a pretty great fucking film. So both those films, I think, deserve a bit more conversation or I don't know, a bit more attention than they get sometimes because people get lost in all the stuff he does now. So, all right, then my number 6 is Good Will Hunting.
That's a punt.
Okay, all right, fair enough. What's your? Are we taking a break at this time or no? All right, what's your 5?
They're front ended.
Okay.
My 5 is Rushmore.
Oh, great choice, man. Another Wes Anderson. All right.
Hey, he likes the fall, you know?
He does. He does like the fall.
Well, there's another one that you could hypothetically choose as well.
You could. Yeah, good point. Yeah.
I don't know if you really wanted to, you could take a lot of his and say that they're in the fall. There's only a handful that just like, no, that's distinctly summer or that's distinctly winter.
Right.
But anyway, neither here nor there. Rushmore, really announced him and Schwartzman to me, and I would assume most people.
Yep.
And then kind of, not to say that Bill Murray's career wasn't already what it was, but for some reason, like this kicked it into like we always knew he had the possibility of doing these type of roles, but he got offered them more often, I think, in my head after this.
Yeah.
Because like Lost in Translation came afterwards, or there was just, he had a run where he's just starting to do most of the super serious stuff.
Yeah.
And still haven't gone back and watched all of Bottle Rocket though.
I can't. It's not. I tried. 20 minutes in. Yeah, 20 minutes in, I was like, nah, this ain't for me, man.
It's so weird.
Yeah.
All the rest of his, I'm by and large a big fan of. Some of them I'm like, hey, I'm good. I don't need to see it again. But it's not like I dislike the movie. Just
right.
You have enough movies now where if I'm going to watch a Wes Anderson, I'm going to watch one of these others.
It's like the Darjeeling. I can't. The Darjeeling Limited and Bottle Rocket, both 20 minutes in, 25 minutes in, and I was like, I don't give a fuck about what's going on with anybody here. It's not cute, quaint, or it's being too cute for cute's sake, and I can't. And some people feel that way about all his films, so I respect that. But those two are the ones that just kind of go too far out there where I don't give a shit about them, about anybody in the film. So I've never finished either one. And I don't anticipate that I ever will finish either one, to be honest. So,
yeah, he still has like occasional misfires. Not that like Moonrise Kingdom, I thought was good. Yeah. It's like, oh, that was good walking out, but I don't know if I ever need to see it again. And other people are like, oh, that was one of the best of that year. I'm like, okay, to each their own.
True.
It didn't have quite the same punch, but something like Rushmore, I can still watch it.
Oh yeah. Rushmore's eminently watchable.
It has just a fantastic scene, the "Oh, are you?" Because they hate each other, but now there's this new rival that comes in. So the enemy of my enemy is my friend,
right? And this guy, it's two things, Matt. This guy is younger than Bill Murray, and he's older than Jason Schwartzman, and he's good looking. So it blows both their worlds up, and then they can focus their lasers on that one guy.
Yeah,
which is
he's
hilarious.
Attractive.
Yes.
I think he's a few years younger than her. He's got a successful career.
Yeah.
And just when Schwartzman, oh, are you? And then the look, I mean, Murray trying not to die laughing in the guy's face as they both are like, this fucking prick.
he goes,
yeah.
Coughs into his drink.
I mean, it's just
so
beautifully executed from the direction to all the actors in the scene, and everybody knows just the perfect timing within it. There's a lot of that manages to get for a director that I didn't know.
Yeah.
And you're like, man, this is really confident.
Yeah, I remember watching it. I think I went with a friend at the time and watching it like on a Saturday or Friday afternoon and coming out of theater going, man, this is really good. And I wonder if this will be a director we have to watch out for later, because you can tell, like you just said, Matt, there are certain directorial efforts early on in a director's careers that you just go, oh, that's a confident director with a vision. You know, you could argue he's an auteur because his films are so distinctly unique. And because of that, you know, he is an auteur in my opinion. And that Rushmore is like him, because I don't think Bottle Rocket is as much, but I certainly think Rushmore is when he's like, okay, this is what I can do when I tell a certain story. And it works. So, I mean, Brian Cox is hilarious in the film as well. And, you know, the whole idea of having him do Serpico on the fucking stage, I mean, just all of it is very, very funny from beginning to end and smart. And even his arc, which you know is coming, it still works because of the script and the work by Schwartzman in the movie and how the scenes are edited together and chronologically done in the film. So, yeah.
Are you watching this season of Fargo?
I am. I was just going to ask you that if you've been enjoying it.
Well, do you buy Schwartzman?
Yeah. I mean, I think because he's Talia Shire's kid and he's Coppola's like blood.
Sure.
I can see him getting ruthless, but he's pathetically ruthless. So I haven't found him to be believably scary. But I do think he's pathetically ruthless. I'm more impressed with Chris Rock, who I don't expect much from as an actor at all. Yeah. I mean, I'm shocked. I don't know where he went to class for the last 10 years, but he has become a fantastic actor.
Across the board, everybody else, and every time Schwartzman comes on, I like it. And at the same time, just like, I'm not buying you as mob. Him and his brother.
Yeah, right.
I believe that dude is crazy, but the whole like eyes open the whole time.
Yeah.
Maybe by the end of the season, I will really appreciate the choice.
Right.
It's like when the brother showed up on this past season of Ozark. Did you see that?
I know. I don't watch Ozark, so.
Oh, dude.
I haven't started that one. Is that
episode whatever of the season they bring him in this past season. And by episode like 8 or something, say it's 10, it's 8. If it's 8, it's 6, whatever, 6 or 7. And he has one of the most beautifully acted scenes I've ever seen on television. And it's just basically him monologuing. And it is fucking emotionally powerful.
Okay. All right.
To start the season, I was like, I kind of like this guy. I don't know. But by the time we got to there, it's like, where has this dude been? How is this the first time I'm seeing him? Yeah. That is, it took 10 years to be an overnight success type of thing.
Right. That's like Carrie Coon. First time I saw Carrie Coon in Gone Girl, I was like, who the fuck is this? And then you go back through her resume. Like, God damn, I've seen her in a million things. She just never really kind of popped off. And then you saw her in Gone Girl. And then right after that, her season of Fargo, The Leftovers. And you're like, this is a fucking great actress, And so you're just like, it takes forever to just kind of get seen finally in the right project once and for all. I think Jessie Buckley is killing it in Fargo, man. That nurse, she is so good.
Yeah, she is. And she's the quintessential Cohen character, even though they're just EPs now, but she fits really well into that world. Yeah, I like the family across the street, the nuclear family and the sister that comes back, and that was it's a fun storyline. And it's one of the more impressive shows because every season, new cast, completely different story. They're just here to tell an interesting story that it's crime related.
Yeah, Yeah, I love it. I'm so happy because I was a little worried. And then having Ben Whishaw in there as the Irish kid. I mean, Ben Whishaw, of course, is Q in the Bond films. But I love him as an actor, man. So seeing him kind of get a chance to do some character work within the scope of this show is great. Just great. All right. So that was your number 5?
That's
Rushmore?
my 5.
All right. My 5 is Halloween, 1978's Halloween.
That is a punt.
Okay. All right. What's your 4?
My 4 is Hoosiers.
That is my 3. Yeah, I like it. Good choice.
That to me is just pure fall.
From the beginning to the end, pure fall.
Yeah. Even though high school basketball season usually finishes in spring. And I think that, there is a moment with like the snow because of Dennis Hopper's character living out as an alcoholic in that shack and whatnot. But somehow it only exists as the fall in my head. This was like one of the exceptions of others. I don't know.
Yeah.
It goes both ways. I'll understand the argument. To me, Hoosiers, though, is, you brought up the October sky. They're wearing the flannel jackets.
Yeah.
This is the cinematic equivalent of a flannel jacket.
I agree. The wool, whatever they're wearing, and then the hats and the gloves and the hats, and then seeing the leaves. She's constantly raking the leaves, or the leaves are blown across the street. So for me, absolutely 1,000% agree with you, man. It gives you that vibe of the fall from the opening scene where he's driving the car through the credits and that great score and the overcast sky. The sky is there's never sun in the sky. It is always overcast.
It's depressing.
Yeah, it's depressing. So it's like, to me, it's like, this feels so much like the fall from beginning to end. I don't even know when it's set, but it feels like the fall the whole time. Even when they show up to the arena to play, they come out in these big jackets because it's a cold to play the final rather because it's a cold time. So in my mind, it's always the fall throughout that whole movie, man.
Yeah, even though we know it's not.
Yeah, I don't care.
Yeah. This, I've tried really hard to keep, but it's like, this is a fall movie flat out. Mm-hmm. Flat out to me.
I love that score, man. Sometimes I'll just put that score on while I'm just fucking doing shit around the house, man. It's such a great score, dude.
I mean, it's impressive because the manipulation that's coming and it's still effective.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can see it a mile away and it still works. Whereas, remember, the Titans for me feels too manipulative. So
yeah.
It's like there's always these big orchestral string lifts on the emotional moments, and they just overuse it to me. Yeah. And trust me, I've seen that movie legitimately 50 times.
Wow.
It was in the box of VHS DVD tapes that I had for like 3-4 years when I didn't have cable.
Oh, yeah.
I'll remember the Titans a lot of times. Is it good? Yeah. I'm not going to argue that. It just, now after having seen it so many times, it's manipulative to me.
Yeah.
Whereas Hoosiers, like, I know it's coming.
Right.
But I don't care. Although Hoosiers does drag a little bit more in certain spots.
You mean the score itself or the film?
The movie.
Okay.
It just adds to more of the depressing.
Yeah. Okay.
But perhaps that also is what makes the release so cathartic, is because you've been living in this tension for the duration of the movie.
Yeah. Jerry Goldsmith did the score for this one for Hoosiers. So, yeah. Great stuff, man. Yeah. Anyway, whatever. I'm just talking out my ass now. I just love that fucking movie so much.
Yeah.
All right. So, yeah, I mean,
your 4?
My 4 is what?
Sorry. I was going to say I said that, but then I thought you were going to say something about Hoosiers. So I didn't want to cut you off.
No. We've talked about it ad nauseum, dude. People know how much we love that movie.
Okay.
My 4 is Knives Out.
Oh, great call.
Yeah, that one, as I was like, I like you, I Google sometimes throughout, and then I just was like, what's something that's come out in the last few years? And then just kind of looked it up that way, and I was like, oh shit, right. Totally. Yeah. Every time that movie is completely a fall movie. They're all in the fucking sweaters or the pullovers, and you see the leaves on the ground. And
is there snow on the ground at any point?
I don't remember if there's snow, but there might be, man, in retrospect, like when they're remembering certain things from the past in their interactions. I think there might have been some snow, but the film itself totally takes place in the fall. At least I think so.
Sure. Yeah. I honestly can't think about it. I can't picture snow. Mm-hmm. So otherwise it'd be a fall. Well, it'd be a fall or spring. I don't know. Mm-hmm. but it's not winter and it's not summer, obviously.
Yeah.
But I'll give you fall. Sure. Yeah. Knives Out. Great call. I would put that on my list.
It's a damn good movie, man. I like it. I watched it again the other day. It's on Amazon Prime. And I was just like, man, this is actually really fucking good. Because sometimes people go like, oh, it's so good. And you're just like, I don't know. You all are that group think for me a little bit. I'm like, And then you watch it and you're like, well, actually, they're fucking right. This is actually damn good. And the script is great. And the performances are all fun. And it's great to see Don Johnson and Jamie Lee Curtis getting to sink their teeth into a fun role, later on in life as actors. So I just didn't throw, and Anna de Armas, who's actually fucking gorgeous. And cute as hell, seeing her play the character that she's playing and everything she goes through. And of course, Lakeith Stanfield, who's great. And what are you going to say about Daniel Craig? I'm sure Daniel Craig must be so fucking happy, man. He's like, I'm done with it. Now I can go, like, I've got money for the rest of my life. I can go do what the fuck I want,
Will he be able to? Knives Out is a great first step.
Yes.
Just don't want him to fall into the Pierce Brosnan, Timothy Dalton, Roger Moore. Didn't do diddly shit afterwards because they just kind of became Bond to us all.
Yeah. Logan Lucky was great too. I thought he was great in Logan Lucky.
Yeah.
So if he gets more character work, which is what he was doing before he became Bond, he wasn't the lead in films.
Mm-hmm.
But he did do Defiance, which a lot of people like, while he was still doing Bond as a lead in that one. So I think there's definitely potential. Yeah, it's not great. It's not great, but he was the lead. But I think there's potential.
You find out who he is and be like, oh, he did this movie with Liev Schreiber a couple years ago. We're like, oh, well, now that I'm okay, let's see what he did before type of like earning his chops. And that's when you realize, that he was in Road to Perdition. Like, oh, yeah, he's the son of Paul Newman. Didn't even realize it at the time because I didn't really know who that was. Type of deal. Yeah. Defiance is all right. That's what I remember thinking about it. It's all right.
It's all right.
It's all right. Glad to see that they, Liev Schreiber is working. I always like him.
Oh, yeah. Liev's another one, man. They just can't seem to get him right. And Liev is an incredible actor, man. Like Ray Donovan, which is not a good show. I don't care what anybody tells you. Ray Donovan is, you have to really, really try to like Ray Donovan. But he carries that show well, because these characters are not good characters. They're all pretty terrible people. But he does such a great job with the role. So I was glad that he got something to sink his teeth into, because he's such a and great voiceover artist. Jesus Christ. All his HBO sports documentaries, his voice is
him and like Will Arnett.
Yeah.
Those two just, wow, you guys got great voices.
Yep.
Yeah, I watched the very first Ray Donovan, and I can't remember what I didn't like about it, but I didn't like it at all.
Yeah.
Just like I watched the first of Homeland, and I was like, nah, I'm out. It's just, I still remember that one, like her boss shows up to see her doing an illegal sting on a returning military vet, and he goes, I'll allow it for now. And then she catches on to him fiddling his hands.
Yeah.
Just like all this happens in the first episode. I'm like, this seems like a lot. So, but Ray Donovan, I can't remember what it was. I know I watched the first one because my brother was a big fan, and he's like, just keep watching. I was like, I didn't like that pilot at all.
Yeah, they're not nice. They're not, they're not people you should like. They're pretty down and just terrible people overall. But Liev Schreiber's so cool as this Hollywood fixer that it keeps you going. But after a while, you're just like, it becomes like it's the curse of any show, man. It starts to become Entourage, where no matter what box you put them in, they somehow find a way out. You write them out of it eventually by the end of the season. And it's like, then there's no real consequence here. He's always getting away with cheating on his wife. He's always getting away with beating people up in broad daylight instead of going to jail for assault and battery. He's always getting away with stealing money and doing whatever. He's always getting away with it. And at some point, he's like, this is no longer cool. This is just like, you're just working out your fantasies of what you wish you could do in your own life as writers or showrunners. And there's nothing fun here at all, So that's what I felt. And with Homeland, I did the first season because I like Damian Lewis and I do like Claire Danes and their chemistry. But the second, the first couple episodes of the second season, where all of a sudden she can get a cell phone signal inside the bunker where no one else can get a cell phone signal. I mean, sorry, not Damian Lewis get a cell phone signal to communicate with the Arab terrorist. I was like, oh, fuck this shit. This is bullshit. If you're going to make those kinds of jumps, then I don't want to be part of the show, because then you're making it convenient for your characters to get out of these moments because somehow they have supernatural ability to do things that no one else can do in the exact same spot, in the exact same place. And so
you know what? Dexter's coming back because we were all clamoring for that.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah.
I hated that show.
Mm.
I watched the first season, and then what was Jimmy Smith's the second season?
I think so. Yeah.
I watched that one, and then I watched the Lithgow one, but there were so many actors on it that were just, I can't believe this is the direction they're getting. Outside of him, Michael C. Hall was really good.
Right.
But his sister, who he married in real life for a time, thought she was really over top. The
Jennifer
Cuban
Carpenter.
detective that was on Oz before, who I loved him on Oz, and this felt like a caricature. The Asian lab tech felt like a caricature.
Right.
It's like there's so many of these that I just don't give a shit about.
Mm-hmm.
And then I didn't watch it, but when everybody told me what the ending was, and you see people discussing it online, you're like, what a brutal ending. So glad I got out of this show years before.
Yeah, everybody tore it apart. Yeah. So it feels like, Michael C. Hall, who, I don't know, he's a good actor, but he has never really kind of been able to do anything since Dexter of note or that's caught on. So it seems like he's just coming back to this thing. Yeah, 6 Feet Under the Foot, which was great. That's a good film, a good show. But he's never been able to do anything since. I mean, his Jack Kennedy was absolutely horrible in The Crown. So it's just like, whatever. Great. Try and get this right again. You've rarely seen Jennifer Carpenter in anything, or hardly any of those actors you've rarely seen in anything. So maybe they were all like, oh, are we coming back? Great. Let's come back and make some money and stay alive and pay our insurance and whatever. So we'll see. I'm not excited about it, but that's for sure.
Nope.
All right. I guess we're up to your 3. Is that correct?
Punt from before Halloween.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Just a movie set in the fall, obviously, but it's pure fall. It's the only time of year that I watch it is in the fall. I don't really pop on much horror. So I can't remember the last time I set out to watch it, but this would be one of a handful of horror related that I would gladly, if it was on, I have zero problem. Even though they shot it here.
Oh, yeah.
In the summer, I believe.
Yeah.
Like the bags of leaves they had to collect after each take because they only had so many leaves. They were using like leaf blowers to make it look like there was, fall wind and all that shit.
Yeah.
But in the background, you can see palm trees every once and again, I believe. Okay. I mean, they made it on a shoestring budget and it ends up, it's like cost $50,000 to make and it made $20 million at the box office, something ridiculous because it's good. It's limitations of their budget ended up forcing them to make decisions that made a much more psychologically terrifying and more effective film for me, at least.
Yeah. I agree with you, dude. 1,000%. Definitely a fall film. Like you said, they shot it here. I think he shot it in the valley somewhere and they threw it, but like overall, just that vibe you get throughout. And of course it's set on Halloween, so naturally in the fall, but just the feeling you get of a small town, Indiana vibe to it. And, people wearing the coats and whatever, like all around, just a great vibe. Plus, like you said, it's just one of these films. They didn't know what was going to happen with this one. It's a fucking classic. And it's way past the genre of horror. Like it's its own thing. Like it is a horror film, but it is beyond the genre of just horror. Like certain Westerns are like Unforgiven is beyond the genre of a Western. There's just some films that kind of move past the genre they're in and achieve a certain kind of classic status. And that's certainly Halloween, and I don't put it in the same boat with like Friday 13th or Nightmare on Elm Street or any of those. This is like a fucking master film, the master craftsman doing an incredible film like Alien. Those are just master craftsman films,
Yeah, they elevate above the simple genre.
Yeah.
And I'm not calling horror simple because you could say simple about it. Just like a crime movie. Well, it'd be a stupid crime movie.
Right.
Or a stupid action movie, or they can make one with merit and substance.
Yeah. Absolutely.
All right, so that was my 3. What do you got?
Yep. No, we're up to we did Hoosiers for my 3. So what's your 2?
My deuce is Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Yeah. All right. That's my 1. PTA is my 1, my man.
Yeah, you can flip flop with my number one.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's perfect. It's
Yeah.
It's right on the cusp of not being a fall movie.
Yes, it's because it's Thanksgiving film, so it's about There is snow on the ground when they show up at the end, but it is such
Thanksgiving is fall,
right?
And it's the legitimate last day in my head of fall.
Yeah.
The next day, no matter what day of the year it is, every year, I don't care if it gets closer or further from the winter solstice. Doesn't make any difference to me. That next day is the first day of winter.
Yeah.
Because it's just like the last guy. It has still all the fall colors you associated with Thanksgiving, even more so than you do really Thanksgiving, at least to me.
Yeah.
Or not, pardon me, than Halloween. I just don't know what to say about Planes, Trains.
We've talked about it many, many times, but it's set in the fall. All the experiences they go through feel like a fall experience, him getting into all the various weird situations. There is snow throughout, but it does snow in November in certain areas of the country, so it doesn't eliminate it from being a fall film. And the fact that they go through numerous cities, you get that vibe of what it would be like to be in the fall. Everyone's all bundled up and doing whatever. So throughout the film, you just can't escape the fact that it has that fall vibe to it. And a great ending to that film and great song as well. The great remake of Every Time You Go Away. Such a fantastic, fantastic film. And, the late, great John Candy. What can you say? I can't talk about the film without getting a little sad because it's such a great, great performance. And, it's, if you're going to leave a lasting legacy, that's a great film to leave for multiple generations to enjoy. And have fun with. Yeah.
It just makes you long for more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, true.
We both have a soft spot for John Candy because he came up at a time where I don't know, it was pivotal for me. Right when I started knowing who John Candy was, it was like, I was 8, 10, 12, 14 type of thing. And this really is when you're a lot of degrees, your sense of humor gets formed. At least mine did.
Yeah. Good point.
So I have a soft spot in my head or my heart for Armed and Dangerous or what is it? Harry Crumb.
Oh yeah. Or Delirious.
Only the Lonely.
Yeah, Only the Lonely is great. I love that movie. That's a quiet little favorite of mine with him and Ali Sheedy and Maureen O'Hara.
But it's purely, I watched that movie because it had John Candy. That is the only reason I tuned into it when I was a kid.
Yep.
Flat out. Uncle Buck and Planes, Trains are his two, to some degree, high watermarks.
Yeah.
But it's like, I enjoyed so much of the rest that I wished that we had gotten him even more.
Yeah.
Because
remember
he would have a long career.
Did you ever see Delirious? The one where he's the soap opera writer?
Yes.
Yeah. That one I thoroughly enjoy.
So did I.
Every time he sees Dylan Baker's like his condition is getting worse, and he's like shit's falling off his face. I love that movie.
I held off watching. What was it? Soap Dish, the Sally Field.
Oh yeah, Soap Dish. Yeah,
because that came out in my head. Came out just a few years later.
Oh yeah, right. Probably.
So I was like, I already have one comedy from that world, so I didn't see that for a number of years. Then finally watched it. And it's like it's really good.
Yeah, Soap Dish is great.
It's
actually the same year.
Is it the same year? I thought it was like a year or two later.
1991. Both films came out in the same year. Wow.
Downey Jr.
Yeah. Anyway. Moriarty. When Moriarty gets found out, no, it's just a fucking brilliant, man. If you haven't seen Soap Dish, you guys need to see Soap Dish. All right. So where are we at?
So your number 2,
which is Beetlejuice.
Oh, I was anticipating another.
No, I know. I messed with you.
Led me astray. Okay, I had trouble with Beetlejuice because I couldn't pin down when the movie happens. That's why I didn't.
Gotcha. To me, it's a Halloween movie, so it feels like the fall.
It is.
I think the accident happens in the spring at the beginning of the movie, but the accident is not the movie. The movie is when he shows up, or they show up rather to rent the house. and it's always overcast again. The sun is only out, I think, once in the movie.
Oh, the sun's out a decent amount.
You think so? All right.
Yeah, 100%.
Right.
Like when the Deedles show up the first time and they're moving in all their stuff.
Yeah.
It's perfectly sunny outside.
Okay. All right.
That's a weird thing. So they die, and then it takes them 2 months to get back to their house, but they don't remember any of it.
Right.
So if they die in the spring, then it's in the summer, but everybody shows up and they've got like sweaters on.
Yeah. Yeah.
And shit like that, but it's completely sunny out. The foliage hasn't changed. I agree with you, though. It is a Halloween movie.
Right.
Like,
that's why I kind of put in my head that it's a fall film. Yeah.
Yeah. To me, it's like it could kind of go a few different spots, but I don't know that when it takes place.
Right. I mean, I wouldn't put it in the winter. I wouldn't put it in the spring or the summer. So to me, it's like, it feels very much like a fall type film. It doesn't feel like summer. No one's like walking around in a bikini I know Catherine O'Hara does try to get some kind of tan or something at some point in the movie, but everyone else is like, and she's like all in black and she's in school. So to me, that makes it feel like it's the fall as well.
But she's not in school the whole time.
That
we know of.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I look, if you want to include it, I would definitely make my list. It would be near number one, if not number one. Beetlejuice is. I really hope the sequel is going to be good. Like I am.
Yeah.
There have been others. Anchorman 2, I didn't think that had a shot, but Dumb and Dumber 2, I thought actually had a shot, and I couldn't get through 15 minutes.
No, that was terrible. I hope Coming to America and Beetlejuice, the sequel.
Me too.
I hope those two, you got to hope those are great. And
Coming to America, I'm holding out the hope, the biggest of hopes. I want nothing more than that to be great.
Well, they just sold it to Amazon. Paramount did.
Yeah, they switched studios. Yeah,
$125 million. So that tells me that they have a lot of faith in that movie to pay $125 million for it. So hopefully that comes out December 18th on Amazon Prime. So
that's interesting. So the Paramount assumed that it would make a little bit over that in the theaters max.
Yeah.
So maybe somewhere 150-ish, 160-ish.
Yeah.
So they'll take a little bit of loss. That's the negotiating point for Amazon.
Right. Plus you got to pay Eddie. You got to pay out Eddie too. So
yeah. Because I don't know what back end points on a streaming would be.
I don't either. So that's why I think the way they're getting around this kind of stuff now, these streamers they're paying a lot of money up front, almost like, you and I both know as actors, like the non-union shit, they pay you out up front. So they don't pay you residuals or anything else like that. And it feels to me like that's what they're doing with some of these films is they'll pay out what they anticipate the film is going to make and then your agents negotiate what you would anticipate you'd make onto this film. And if there's any kind of like back end streaming points to be had, I'm sure people like Eddie or Robert Downey Jr. will figure it out and get their money one way or another. But it seems pretty clear. Like I think we're not far away from a lot of these. That we start hearing a lot of these films start jumping into streaming now. After Disney did what they did this week as we're recording it. I just think more films are going to start jumping into streaming than people thought. I wouldn't be surprised. So
yeah. I mean, this isn't going to change for another 10 months anyway. So
at least, yeah.
Nothing.
A bit of a swerve for me, brother, because I thought about putting it on my list, and then at the beginning of the show, when you said what you said, I was like, all right, I'll make the switch and I'll just move stuff up. So, I think adding Coco allowed me to move things around. So when you said
When Harry is awesome,
I mean, I love that movie, dude. And when I watch it, all I think about is the fall. But you made a great point. Both seminal,
New Year's.
Yeah, those are seminal moments in the film.
They are.
One is like them after they've had sex, and then the second one is like, oh no, I'm sorry. The first one is when they have the conversation about like if we're ever alone, blah blah blah, and the second one is when it finally happens, And so fuck man, I love that movie, dude.
Yeah, but I couldn't bring myself I might be able to lie in other regards, but I know for a fact there are certain benchmarks within that it's just like that is clearly in the winter.
Right.
And it's a huge moment in the movie.
Yep.
But you're not wrong that it does feel like a fall movie anyway.
Right.
So we've done your 1 and 2, correct?
We have.
My one is a punt from you, which is Good Will Hunting.
Oh, wow. Number 1. Wow. Great choice then. All right. Wow.
Well,
okay.
Yeah, I would take that or Planes, Trains. It just so reminds me of the fall.
Totally.
that's as far as I know, that's when it takes place. Like he's a janitor at MIT type of thing, but it's early class season, and before he bounces, because he bounces before there might be a little bit of snow on the ground at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
But anyway, I mean, it's Good Will Hunting. It's another one. It's like Planes, Trains. What exactly can we say that we haven't said 50 times that other people have heard about? Let's see. What can we find? Is there anything?
It was filmed in the greater Boston area and Toronto. They shot it for 5 months. Wow.
That seems excessive.
1996 is when they shot it. Yeah.
I'm clutching at straws as to what we've never discussed.
Yeah, there isn't much. I mean, Minnie Driver, we've talked about her. We've talked about the Ben Affleck, Matt Damon relationship. We've talked about fuck, what's his name that directed it? God damn it, my brain.
Gus Van Sant.
Gus Van Sant. We've talked about Gus Van Sant and his direction with Casey Affleck, Cole Hauser. Right, Robin Williams, Stellan Skarsgård, their relationship.
Mayhem's brother, who you saw in Oz, is the How You Like Them Apples pony.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
I know from Oz. I'm like, the dude from Oz. He's in Good Will Hunting. Still don't know his name.
I love when he showed up in the Kevin Smith, the whatever it was, the Crooks 2 or whatever it was.
I didn't see that.
They did a thing where Jay and Silent Bob went to Hollywood. It was like a vignette. And they were on the set for Good Will Hunting 2 hunting season. Hunting season's over or something like that. And then he ends up shooting the dude instead of the apples thing. He ends up shooting the guy. So it's funny, man. So there we go. But yeah, great. I mean, the film just feels like the fall from the way they're dressed. If you've been on the East Coast, you've been in Boston around that time, just the vibe of it overall, the things they're getting into, the things they're doing, all of it feels very fall-like. And plus, she's in school. She's at the university, and it doesn't feel like spring. So the other alternative is fall because she's not going to summer school. So yeah, absolutely.
And no way they're wearing turtlenecks and 90s equivalent to starter jackets. The Ben Affleck character,
right?
If it's not that time of year, it's going to be hot and muggy and whatnot if it's summer. So
exactly.
All right.
There we go. All right, so that's our separate lists of the top 10 movies in the fall. We're going to put this thing together. I got to go get the bongos out of the closet. I'll be right back.
All right. So I would assume then that it probably goes Planes, Halloween. Good Will go next. Or Hoosiers. Hoosiers was 3-4. So whatever is 1, I think it was 5 for him on Goodwill, maybe 6. All
right.
Where did you have Goodwill again?
Goodwill's number 6.
Okay, so what I've got is Planes, Trains.
Yeah.
And then Halloween.
I have Hoosiers at 3. Where do you have Hoosiers?
Let's think. So we have Hoosiers 3-4. Where do you have Halloween?
Halloween's 5 for me.
Okay. I screwed that part up. All right. So then I think the way we've done it in the past, Goodwill would then go 2, then Hoosiers, then Halloween.
Okay.
Did Beetlejuice there at 5?
Sure. That's my number 2.
Where do you have Rushmore?
Rushmore is number... No, I don't have Rushmore on my list.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
So we have in common October Sky and what? Coco, and that's it, right?
Yeah, towards the back end of our lists. Okay.
My next highest is Rushmore at 5.
Mine is Knives Out at 4.
All right. And Knives Out. Let's do Knives Out. Rushmore, then what? October Coco?
Yeah, that works. Where are we at now?
The last one. So I've got my number 6. What do you have?
Let's see. We put Planes Trains. We put Beetlejuice on there, right? Hoosiers is on there. Knives Out is on there. Halloween's on there. Good Will Hunting's on there. So that's my top 6. So your 6 goes on.
All right. Friday Night Lights it is, and we're done.
Nice. All right. Let's jump into this thing. The top 10 films set in the fall. Yeah. At number 10.
Friday Night Lights.
At number 9.
Coco.
At number 8.
October Sky.
At number 7.
Rushmore.
At number 6.
Knives Out.
At number 5.
Beetlejuice.
At number 4.
Halloween.
At number 3.
Hoosiers.
At number 2.
Good Will Hunting.
And our number 1 film set in the fall is
Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Those aren't 2 pillows.
All right. Well, there you go. Another successful show.
Agreed.
A quick announcement on Golden Ticket. So we are scheduling our very last episode of our match of the first round, and then we're going to take a couple weeks off just because John's schedule is going to be pretty jam packed for a very short time once we get closer to the election.
Yep.
And we also need to start scheduling the next round of matchups with the second round people. So probably like 2 weeks off, and then we'll be back in the rotation, something like that. We're just setting up, laying the groundwork because we got to make sure we get everybody on and move this process forward. So bear with us, but thank you to everybody that support us over at patreon.com/the top 10 with the number 10 and wanted to jump in there. If for some reason you didn't respond to the call to action last week and you've never responded to any of the emails that we've gotten, but you are a potential participant, you need to let us know. Otherwise, the next match that we record is going to be the last match, and we're moving forward. So if we haven't heard from you, it's only a couple people. Then let us know. Otherwise, round 2 is starting up, and we were getting that much closer to having someone as a guest. And they get to choose the topic. And that's it, man.
That's going to be fun. Where do they follow you, man? What else you got going on?
Follow me at Matt Nost. The basketball season is done, so Dimes is dormant, but Settle the Score. You can get that anywhere you get podcasts. And that's it for me.
There you go. You can follow me at The Roca Says on Twitter and on Instagram. Of course, the other podcasts I do, the Cinephiles and the Geek Buddies, those are both available for you all to listen to. But also, if you want to watch the Geek Buddies, you can do so at my YouTube channel for all my other content as well. YouTube.com/John Roca Says. Go in there and see all the things that are going on. As Matt mentioned, the political content's been really ratcheting up there and getting a lot of views. So if you want to come and watch the Impolite Truth show we do over there, that'd be great. And the Game Time show, we do the sports show. So all of it over there. But the Top 10 has a YouTube channel as well. What's the address? YouTube.com/the Top 10 podcast.
Correctamundo.
There you go. Go and sign up there because we're trying to monetize that channel as well and do more and more content. We're talking about doing live Q&As. We're talking about doing live shows of the Top 10 where you all can chime in with your thoughts throughout the show, and that'll be a lot of fun to hear what you all think. In lieu of us being unable to go to your local town to do a show, this could maybe take the place of that, and we could have a lot of fun in that way. So, all right, everybody, thanks for listening or watching this episode of the Top 10 show. We can't thank you enough for your patience during this time, and especially now. We need your help more than ever to promote this show and push this show. Everyone's got a show now. Everyone's out there trying to do stuff on YouTube, but we were the OGs in this sphere doing a show like this. So give us some love, promote this show, push this show, get people involved. And if you've been if you're a listener or a follower of the show and you haven't become a patron and you've been on the fence about it, now's the time when we need you to come be a patron. There's multiple tiers. Look above my head, patreon.com/the top 10, number 10. Go and see all the things that you can sign up for and support this show, keep this show going, and all the things we do, because you get all these perks for being a part of the Top 10 as well. So please go and get involved there and help us get even further ahead for more things that we want to do going down the road with the show we do here. All right, that's it, I think. Matt, are we good to go?
That we are. Good show, and I'll see you very soon.
Sounds good, brother. All right, take care, everybody. We'll talk to you next time on the Top 10 show.